Mario Kart. It's a game we all know and love. You're either a dinosaur and played this version, or you're the absolute coolest and played these games like me. However, there's a big issue with Mario Kart. If you want to buy the damn thing, then you have to take out a second mortgage on your house because of how expensive it is. And to be completely honest with you, I'm kinda broke. But luckily, I make video games, and so I'm going to attempt to make my own version of Mario Kart, but just way better. And then I'm going to release it on Steam with multiplayer for free, which, you know, shouldn't be too hard. So, first things first, we're going to need a kart. I started off by making this small kart out of basic shapes, so that we at least have something to look at. And then I made it align with whatever surface it's above, and did the same for the wheels. Then finally set up some simple code to drive it around, and that's basically all we need for the time being. Next up is drifting. Or to all the little Nintendo spies watching this, I like to call this power steering. Drifting was actually really simple to set up and didn't take long at all. I even got it working with controller, and there's multiple different angles of drift that you can control by steering it into or away from your drift. And then when you let go, if you were drifting long enough, then you'll get a little burst of speed. Then I got a basic version of multiplayer working. You can see the yellow kart, that's the server, and the white kart is your local player. Now at this point things couldn't have been better. I was only a week into the project, but way ahead of schedule. My calendar was free of any major events for the rest of the year, and so there was plenty of time to get this game done. That was until Unity decided that they wanted to fly me out to Canada at the end of October. Now to explain to you why this is a problem, I'll give you a little geography lesson. This is my house, and this is Canada. My house, Canada. My house, Canada. You starting to see the problem here? And so now we need to get the game done in just over a month. So there's no pressure. I'm a bit tired of looking at all these cubes, and so let's make things a little prettier. I have made a car before, but I might as well not have. And so I tried modeling a Jeep from scratch. I wasn't 100% happy with it though, and so I gave it another go, and this one was far better. Alright, so all this talk about karts is great and all, but what's the point if we don't have a track to race around? The biggest issue we face when making a track right now is that we don't know how big the track should be. If it's too large, then the game's going to feel slow, and if it's too small, it'll feel fast, so getting this right is important. The solution to this problem lies in one of the best Mario Kart tracks ever, SNES Rainbow Road. This track is split up into squares, which means we can find the size of the player relative to a single square, and then the amount of squares per second that the kart moves. Then, using that information with some trial and error, we can move this data over to my game, provided that we have a one-to-one version of SNES Rainbow Road. So, And after a little bit of work, I got everything ported over, improved the camera, and things were starting to look pretty good. A big issue with the kart at the moment is that you have no visual indicator when you're drifting. Nintendo's solution to this is to put sparks under the wheels, like, come on, that's just lazy. So I made a shader that scrolls some noise across the kart and tints it to the corresponding colour. And yeah, that looks alright. Now, full disclosure, if you didn't already notice, I'm not trying to get sued by Nintendo here, and so this game isn't going to feature the typical cast from a Mario Kart game. Sorry, Birdo. However, I have a few characters from previous games that would work pretty well, and so I'm going to bundle them all up into barjikart. Yep, I'm naming it after me. So, in the Jeep, returning from my FPS game Mushy, is the Shrigma male. I made a refresh model for him in Blender along with some animations, then sat him down in our Jeep, and if you're observant, you'll notice at the moment that his arms are slung out to either side of the car. And so I added some procedural animations, and now his hands turn with the steering wheel. I also wanted to add some more karts at this point, however that flight to Canada leaves in just 2 weeks and is creeping closer and closer by the minute. So if we want to get this game done, we're going to have to get a move on. So I tested multiplayer to ensure that worked, and surprisingly it did. Set up some checkpoints, made a crude respawn system, and added a spectator camera. Then finally, a leaderboard for when you finish the race. Another big thing we need in the game is items. In Mario Kart, to collect an item, you drive into an item box. Then the game rolls a random item and gives it to the driver who hit the box. But as we've established, this game is nothing like Mario Kart, and so I came up with my own completely original idea. This is something I like to call the item sphere. So now you can drive into a sphere and it'll roll you one of 4 in-game items. Now what are these items, you may ask? Well, first off is the traffic cone, which you can place behind you, and any players who drive into it will be stopped for about a second. Next up is the boost. This one is pretty self-explanatory, to be honest, you just go fast. Then we have a laser, which is a hit scan weapon that shocks the target and stops them for a couple of seconds. And then finally we have the rocket, which is my favourite. This weapon is only available if you're in 3rd place or lower, and when used will target 1st place and stop them for 3 seconds. When it hits them, it also causes a big cloud of blue smoke, which obstructs the vision of those following the leader. So that's it for the items, and I think we're making pretty good progress, but there is only 1 week left before my flight, and so time is really starting to be of the essence. Remember before when I said this? Nintendo's solution to this is to put sparks under the wheels, like, come on. That's just lazy. Yeah, so I added sparks. Alright, so the game works now. However, it still looks kind of tacky and there isn't much to do. And so I started on the tracks. I love mushrooms. Wait, no, I've made no secret of my love for them, adding them into basically all of my games over the last couple of years, and so I really wanted to make a mushroom themed map. And for an added bonus, Nintendo have never made a mushroom track, which makes this all the better. So I started off by designing the track in Photoshop. Once I got something that I liked, I modeled it using curves in Blender and created a mesh from it. Then I made some terrain follow the road and imported this into Unity, and okay, that was kind of bad. So I created a new shader for the ground and plumped up the environment with a new skybox and some mountains. Then I scattered mushrooms and trees absolutely everywhere, but for some reason decided it wasn't enough and added even more mushrooms. And so here you can see the map in action with a cool little fly down effect. Came up with that myself, and yeah. I followed a similar process for the second map, which was a haunted town. And as you can see, here is that track. And then the final track I wanted to do is something like Rainbow Road, and so I came up with the genius idea of just removing the rainbow from Rainbow Road. So here is Road, or more specifically, the Glass Road. Wait, but who is that on the track? Introducing Monkey. This little fella is from my game Berg, and is also my new YouTube profile picture if you're wondering why that changed. And he drives a Formula 1 banana. I also added Sigmoid, an alien from a really old game that me and Polymars made called Wind Up Racing. And then this game needs an original character as well, so may I present to you, Egbert. The final thing we need in this game is sound effects and music. I got my friend Context to whip up a little song for the mushroom level, and you can hear that being played in the background right now. So yeah, the game is available for free on Steam and it's called Barjikart, but please expect a lot of bugs. I am a one-man team, so if you want more maps and stuff, then make sure to show your support by liking and subscribing, and leave your comments down below. Oh, and one last thing. If you found while watching this that you really want to make games yourself, I feel ya. I was in that exact position 3 years ago. I didn't really know where to start, but fortunately the sponsor of this video and the game engine that I used to make this entire game, so you know I really do support it, have an amazing set of courses known as Unity Learn. Learn is split up into pathways ranging from junior programmer, a pathway teaching you how to code if you're a beginner, and VR development, which covers the basics of VR in Unity. As you complete your courses, you'll also gain XP, which gives you an extra sense of progression, and it's just a nice little thing to help keep you motivated. This is a resource that I highly endorse and wish that I had when I was starting out. You can check out Learn in the description and start your game dev journey today.